My last job I had as a chef was at an all-girls high school, and it was like, this is not a place I want to be. And the principal said, you work 165 days a year. And I went, when should I start? So that's really where my journey as a blogger began, because I started a culinary program for the girls, and I needed some place for them to interact with. And it was a long, tedious struggle. My big point in recognition was I was on Google Plus, and I had over 1 million followers. They were actually recommending me. I was on the page with Anthony Bourdain, Rich Ray, Martha Stewart, and here's Chef Dennis, and I'm going, I don't know how that happened.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today we are joined by Chef Dennis Littley, founder of Ask Chef Dennis, who's built a 2 million page views a month food brand by writing for real people, adapting through every single Google shift and treating SEO as a long game, not a hack. Welcome to the show, should I say, Lord Chef Dennis Littley.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I keep telling my wife I'm going to put it on my passport, so when they call me at the airport, it'll be Lord Dennis Littley. But Dennis is just fine. I've been called so many different things during my life. I'm happy with anything that isn't too bad.
We were talking before we came on air, and Dennis told us that he'd purchased some land in Scotland and inherited the lordship title that came with that land, which me and Nick thought was awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Dennis, thanks so much for coming on. As we all know, SEO is dead. However, your site seems to be doing quite well with Google. So to kick things off, why don't you tell us a bit about your background, how you got started in this site, a little bit about your journey through Google.
Sure. Yeah, it was kind of a crazy start. My last job I had as a chef was at an all-girls high school. I didn't want to go there. My boss that I had worked for left and went to this company, and he said, I have a job for you. And I'm going, I'm not going there. And I was looking at it, and it was like, this is not a place I want to be. And the principal said, you work 165 days a year. And I went, when should I start? So that's really where my journey as a blogger began, because I started a culinary program for the girls, and I needed some place for them to interact with. So I went to the IT person, and they set me up on Blogspot, which was a mistake, but that's where we started the journey. And after a little while, I became a blogger, and I was like, whew. And I had these delusions of grandeur that I was going to be the next pioneer woman or the next best thing on the market. And it was a long, tedious struggle. My big point in recognition, or like moving up the chain a little bit, was I was on Google Plus back in the days, and I was a pluser, and I had over 1 million followers on Google Plus. They were actually recommending me. I was on the page with Anthony Bourdain, Rich Ray, Martha Stewart, and Emma Lagasse, and here's Chef Dennis, and I'm going, I don't know how that happened. So that kind of propelled me a little bit into it. Didn't really drive as much traffic as I was hoped. And, we talked about SEO is dead. Well, over the course of my journey, I finally started making money, and I tell people I was making money in spite of myself, because I used to brag that I don't write for SEO, and I was like, dumbest thing I've ever said in my life. One of them, there's definitely in the top 5. When I started writing for SEO, that's kind of when things changed for me. The other aha moment was being a chef. I was always trying to create things. Well, no one knew what I was making, and no one was looking for it. So I had all these really cool dishes, but no traffic. And one day I did a roasted chicken leg and a roasted chicken quarter, and they blew up. Doing this all wrong. So between not writing for SEO and not writing for actual people, I still did fairly well. So once I changed over, that's when it really exploded. And COVID helped too. Everybody was inside.
That's awesome. So what does that, if you wouldn't mind sharing with our audience, what has that looked like in terms of revenue, where you were, where you've got to, and then what does that revenue distribution look like in terms of channels? Is the bulk of it coming from organic search now, or are you spending money on paid ads? How does that look?
I do a little of both. Well, when I started, the first year I made money, I made $30,000, and I found this accountant. I was living in Orlando then, and he was like, what do you do? You made this? And I was like, yeah, I'm really cool. I made $30,000. And the next year I doubled it like 60 and then it went up to 110 and 220. And it just kind of held there for a little while. But I mean, I was seeing increases. Actually, the first really big increase I had was I did an SEO audit on my site. And that was a big game changer in terms of driving more organic traffic. My number one source has always been Google. And that has been feed the beast because that's what's driving the traffic. Now with AI, we don't know what the heck's going on, but it's still feeding the beast. It's not dead. It's not sleeping. It's still lurking in the background. But that kind of drove it. COVID pushed it up again a little higher. Money wasn't as much. Advertisers were afraid. We took a beating for about 6 months before they finally realized, hey, everybody's at home. This is a good opportunity. And then we started to make more. So I started peak, and I peaked at 600,000. And then the next year I'm going, all right, my goal is 1 million. And I hit 1.2.
Wow.
I didn't expect to hit it that year. I'm thinking 3 years was my goal date. So the next year I broke it. This year, that was just in 2024, 2025. This year I topped at 1.6. Gross. Now that's gross. I mean, I have a lot of people that work for me. I went through it. I supported like 34 different companies at one time, with one way or the other. So it sounds like a lot coming in, and I'm definitely not complaining, but there's a lot going out as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, there's no storefront. It's an online site. So it's one of those businesses that, yeah, you have staff, but your overhead is still a lot lower than a physical location.
Oh,
so
thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about HCU, the Helpful Content Update. So that was, I think, October 2023.
Yeah.
I think next year, the following year was brutal for informational sites. A lot of industries were just, completely wiped out. What has happened in the food space? Is this common, or were there a lot of sites that were demolished in that period?
Oh no, it was devastating to lots of sites. And for the most part, the ones that got hit didn't belong in the space. Some did get caught up in it that really were doing things right, and they just, the purge spread out a little too wide, and Google did try and bring it back, but then the damage is done. Then you're kind of rebuilding all over again. So it really, blogging, people look at it and go, I'm going to make a quick dollar. This is it. Oh boy, I can do this. And for a while, it was kind of wide open, just like when the mortgages collapsed back there and money was flowing. This is the same kind of thing with blogging. People were getting inside, their traffic was escalating. They were doing things. And again, in spite of themselves, they were successful. A lot of the people that were like that did not want help. Like I would go on site and go, oh my God, I can spell SEO on a good day. This is not right. This is really, and they're getting advice from people. And again, I listen to them going, no, I don't think so. So there's so many so-called SEO experts out there. And for my money in the world that I know, I only know of two. One is Carl Ross, and he's based out of Australia, and who currently works for me. And the other is Casey Marquis, and he's in the United States. There's so many other companies that just take your money and pretend. So you have to be very careful. But we also talked about ads. I don't know if you want to go into that at all. I do run some Google ads.
No, I think I'd love to stick with the Google organic search, and I'm so impressed that such a huge portion of your income is still coming from that. And I think a lot of people would be jealous. I think you're right that a lot of people were taken out that should have been. Try and find a recipe and you get a 6-paragraph introduction to the cucumber, which is a waste of time. But what I'm interested in is that you said that you did an SEO audit and that was the first real shift.
Yes.
So you're a real SEO focus, but your sort of attitude has now changed and you're now writing for humans again first. So what does that strategy shift look like, and why is it that you think you're still getting a boatload of free traffic from Google?
Well, it wasn't that I stopped writing for people. I always wrote for people. It's just I understood what SEO was supposed to do. If anything, I was overstuffing keywords. That was my biggest flaw in not understanding the system a little bit better. And so you're saying it too many times. We don't need this. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? They have to know what I'm making. They have to know. Google's got to know. I have to say it 23 times. And it's like, calm down. So it's again learning. And that's part of the mistake people don't make. They don't learn. I learn from other people. I teach other people. We all help each other. That's kind of the philosophy. But yeah, the Google traffic is still coming in. A lot of it is due to volume. Everybody's panicking right now and work with Mediavine. It's the biggest and strongest ad network there is. And there's another company out there, and they were advising people not to create new content for a little while. It's like, oh, yeah, you should listen to them. That's really good advice. Don't create any more new content. Yes, stop blogging for a while. It's good. Everything will be fine. Yes. So last year we created my team. My son works for me full time. My niece is leaving JP Morgan to work for me full time starting February. She's been working part time. Between the three of us, we created 280 new posts last year. It's just a matter of keeping your head down. Don't pay attention to the noise. Don't pay attention to all the naysayers, all the people saying the sky is falling. It's lowering. The ceiling is coming down. And what's going to happen is the people survive this are going to be stronger on the other end. And we're going to lose more bloggers because, it's a shame. I feel bad for them. I mean, this is their livelihood, their income, travel bloggers, especially with AI, certain industries. Food is like on the edge because you can get recommendations from AI. And it's like a crapshoot if it's going to come out or not, because they're pulling what we call Frankenstein recipes together. They're looking at a bunch and saying, okay, this is what should go into it. And if you don't have the skill set to know, no, that's not right with this, let me do this, and you make it like they say, you're going to end up wasting money. It's going to taste bad, and again, there's no personal touch. I mean, I love my AI. I named him Bob. We have some great conversations. He's very insightful, but they can't taste stuff. They
Not
can't
yet.
really gauge things. They can't smell it. Not yet. Wife always says you have an unhealthy relationship with your AI, and I said he's not alive, and I go, not yet. So it'll come. It's coming. There'll be food replicators like on Star Trek, but we're not there yet. But people still, at least for the time being, like to do business with people. There's a human element that you cannot find by just searching. There's people that don't want to bother, like you said, about the 6 paragraphs in front. No one wants to know that your grandmother climbed a mountain to pick the oregano. It's not part of what they want. You have to be informational, put a little of your personality in there, and try and build something that people can go through, and it's constantly changing. That's the one thing with food blogging, I guess blogging in general, is the landscape. I always tell people it's a very fluid business, and the landscape is constantly changing. And if you don't adapt and overcome, you're going to be left behind. So, that's part of why I still generate traffic. I still get, I go in there and I tell my son, I go down a rabbit hole. I went down a rabbit hole today. I ended up fixing 12 posts. I'm looking for something. I see this like, why aren't we ranking for that? So I go in there and why aren't we ranking for that? So I go in there and rewrite it. Why aren't we? So it's just like a constant battle and moving forward. And the people that are saying, I don't know what to do. I can't do it. Again, just have to dig in.
That number of posts is shocking. And some spaces I see I see how you could do that, but here, how do you turn out that much content when it's recipes? Are you making that many dishes per year?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's like it's a lot of baking.
we eat every day. Okay, and there would probably be more if the weather cooperated. Like today we have a sunny day, but it's winter in New Jersey, and we don't use artificial light. I'm just starting to get the other. I don't use it. I'll make it when the sun is good, because I don't have the opportunity to create as many dishes myself. I still do, but not like I used to. So, and I have I have a baker that actually works for me, and we have a good relationship, and we talk about things, and I give her recipes and we work them together, and she creates the stuff, takes pictures. So, I have help. You can't do it by yourself. My son does a pretty good amount. My niece is starting. She just started, so she's learning and she's getting better and she's cranking. My granddaughter actually does some posts for me too. So it's one big family affair. And then, again, you farm out things. There's 2 ways to think about it. You can either just farm everything out and hope everything works, or you can take the things that you don't like to do or you don't have passion for, and find someone that does have that passion and pass it on to them. And, you can't be afraid to spend money. The old axiom, you have to spend money to make money, is very true. And bloggers are inherently cheap. My God, they don't want to spend a penny. And I tell them what I spent on my SEO guy, and they think I'm absolutely insane. And I go, well, look at my coleslaw recipe. It got 250,000 page views last month. That's because of him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're living in an era now where people want more than just text. So food obviously lends itself perfectly to more than just the written word. Do you embed YouTube videos with all your posts, and do you think that helps?
No, I do not. I think it does help to a degree. You can't really embed YouTube videos. They do not play nice with WordPress and other sites. People do them and they slow things down. What you do is you can put a link to it in there, but actually the company that I work with has a place where you can add the video into it. So we're actually making money with them because of that. The YouTube, I know YouTube pays crazy good, and I'm trying to get, we're working to establishing something over there. I mean, I was on there for a while with all the Google Hangouts and stuff, but it just never equated to any kind of traffic. Pinterest used to be really good before they went crazy again, and that happens every few years, so that's normal.
Is that the Mediavine video
Yes.
associated with, and
Yeah,
that pays?
and any other company has one too. But you go in and you plug it in, and it's kind of built for the post, and it plays nice with it. It doesn't slow down. It's all about, because it's all about speed. People are, if it doesn't load in 3 seconds, they leave. So, very short attention spans on stuff, which is why we can't write too much too, because I don't want to see that. It's got to break up the paragraphs and have more pictures, and not pictures just to have pictures that actually do something, show them. So.
Yeah, you've mentioned your SEO strategy several times, how that's sort of changed over the years, and then working with an SEO professional to kind of develop that. Could you tell us about what goes into that? If you're sitting down to create a new page, a new recipe, what is your strategy?
Well, again, it's kind of got to be natural. I have a little talk with my AI, and he bounces some ideas off of me. We have a template, and I look at it, and a lot of times I'll just say, okay, that's a good idea, and it feeds me. So then I'll sit down and start to write, and again, brevity is a matter, finding not saying too much, saying enough but not saying too much, which when you first start is very difficult. Because you're more wordy, so you got to learn how to cut it down, and that's again just something you learn over time. But the SEO strategy is to write content that tells people something that helps them. Might be a little history in there just to let them know, hey, this started in 1912 at the Waldorf Astoria with this chef. Oh, that's cool. I can tell that to dinner when I tell them, I got this recipe. Did you know it was first made? So you give them a little tidbit without getting too deep in it. Then you tell them different ways. Like I have a whole process now. So I'll write it after the ingredients. I write recipe variations. So I'll tell them different things they can do to change it. So now you have the same recipe and you can make it 7 different ways. Then I'll go into step-by-steps, which they had to beat me screaming to do them. I did not want to do step-by-step pictures, and very good though. People love them. They see, and I'll do too many steps sometimes, but people love them because they get to see. I don't have a video, so if they look, they can see 1, 2, 3. Some of them have like 24 steps in them, and it's not that it's that hard to make. It's just like all the different things that you're doing. Most of those are desserts that are like that though. So after that, I have a chef tips, and the chef tips are like things that you really need to look at or think about if you're making something. Might be to get it to room temperature before you cook it, or to stir it so many times, just any kind of tips or techniques that you'll go, oh, wow, I'm glad I knew that. So then after that, the final picture and a paragraph about it, I'll give serving suggestions. Now I do offer beverage pairings. People are all saying, Dennis, what wine should go with that? I says, I don't really know. I don't drink wine. So I have to look it up. So now, I'm becoming a little more knowledgeable about that. And Bob helps with that. He does. He's a little more knowledgeable about wine. But, I'll get different things, and then how to store it, how to reheat it, and then frequently ask questions. So, and we go back and forth. They were saying, not to have these in, to put them in. And the problem is they can't be repetitive. And that's part of the SEO strategy. If you've already answered the question, don't answer it again. If it's something else new, then you answer it. So, and then there's my call to action, the recipe card. And I'm constantly amazed that I'll get people that can't find the recipe card, but they can find my email address to tell me they can't find the recipe card, which is at the very bottom of every post of every blogger in the whole freaking world. So, okay. But, that's it. And then, then there's SEO, they have tools like Yoast is a tool. You can't use it verbatim because it lies to you, just like everything else, not just them. They all lie to you a little bit. I do use a tool called Key Search, which helps me decide what to make. If I'm going to make a dish and it'll tell me, well, only 500 people are looking for that. Well, let me see what else I can make then. It's not worth the time then to make something that no one's looking for. I've already learned that lesson, so I'm not going to repeat it. And then it's also a difficulty. A lot of people have made it. It's been around a long time. The difficulty score is too high. Can I find something where the difficulty or another keyword that I can go after where the difficulty score is lower? Okay, so now I actually am giving myself a chance to rank. Okay, my readers love me. They'll read, they'll look through it. It'll get a little hit from Google, but longevity. Again, I'm going to be on page 24, and now I have to work. So it's always better if you look for something that's not difficult.
So if you find something that's like, it's really difficult, great recipe, is it as simple as change it to, like the one pot or the,
Yes.
okay. So there's all these variations that you have with almost for every recipe.
Yes.
Some of those I think are like sacrilegious to change them, especially some of the Italian recipes.
Yes.
But that's the blueprint then. It's just change it and then it lowers the competition.
Yeah. And, and sometimes I'm not going to rank for this, but you know what? It rounds out my website. My readers are going to like it. So sometimes, again, I'm not writing to rank. I'm writing for the people that already read me and like me. So sometimes you just have to do this. My niece will say, well, we're never going to rank for that. But yeah, make it. It's really good. It'll be a nice addition. I started doing cocktails. I don't know if I'm going to rank for them, but, again, it's starting to round out what I have. I want to be one-stop shopping, I don't do specialty diets. I just don't. I focus on one thing. So I can't be everything to everybody, but I can try and provide, like, especially now, if I'm giving suggestions for beverages or cocktails, if I have a line of them, again, now we're doing something called interlinking, like you want to get links from outside, they're golden, but linking to other posts in your website are almost as good as doing that. And people don't understand that. And that's something Carl taught me too. I did not know. So, interlinking to other pages like this, like I just did a margarita goes with some of my Mexican dishes. So I can interlink to those. Just finding other strategies to help strengthen that keyword. And again, long tail keywords. Sometimes you can't get, or one thing I learned was like, I would search for something and he would tell me, he goes, well, that's the brand name kind of a thing. You have to put recipe after it to really see what you're going to get. It looks huge, but then when you put recipe, it's like, oh, that's all I'm going to get. Because people aren't looking, that's not what they're looking for. That's going to like Nestle or something because they make it, so you have to be careful. So there's a lot to learn. And again, you don't learn it overnight. You don't learn it by yourself. People that are going into it now, I tell them, you have to play the long game. Financial advisor, I have a financial advisor now. Who knew? Says his wife's I says, all right, play the long game. In 10 years, you can retire to an island and she'll just keep having the checks sent there. Okay, so let's do this. And he's listening. Do this. And let's just keep building the momentum, build it up. Let's get known. Let's get it out there. It's going to take a while. If you get hit right away, and there's very few people that get an enormous hit right away that stay. It was a fluke. I've only ever seen like 2 and they're doing really, really well. So, but yeah, it's just a matter of, again, it's work, oh, you stay home. You're a blogger. You cook and eat. Oh, just, that must be fun. What a great life you have. Yeah. I spend 10 hours a day in a freaking chair doing work. Okay.
I think somebody in your house has a great life. Somebody who's not working for you and gets to try all these food and now cocktails. That person's got a great life.
I think what's fascinating is, I think what's clear is that your content is exceptionally good. especially the way that you described the way that your posts are designed and organized. It sounds completely logical, coherent. A lot of people will throw together an internal linking strategy where they'll just find 4 like keywords that exact match. Your internal linking strategy sounds considered and thoughtful. So I think all of this is probably sending massive positive user signals to Google, which is built and continued your authority. And I think because you're an authority, that's the reason that you have survived and thrived. I'm interested to just know about, because we know that all of that you can handle on your own property, but those external links, which is sort of the other half of the Google SEO equation, what's the strategy behind those? Or are you just letting those babies come to you? How's that working?
No, you can't do that. That's us. It's like, again, hoping that people come to your site, find your site. I did have a company working for me and just recently just slowed up for a bit. I mean, so I put it on the back burner, and they were delivering a lot. It was just a matter of them delivering only to like the same couple of places every time. So it was a lot of money. It's not cheap. And most people can't even think about doing it, and they just try and get links from other bloggers. There's all these groups. So what happens is there's a pattern kind of a thing where the same bloggers are referring each other. Google can see it. They're not stupid. They're crazy, but they're not stupid. So, you have to be thoughtful about how you get them. We will buy, my SEO guy, when he's trying to pump up something, we'll buy a few links from somebody, not a lot, and maybe one this month, one next month. They can't come on, boom, and all of a sudden you've got all these links. That does not work. But right now we're going to start doing it more in-house. My niece, again, is full-time, and that's one of her tasks, along with building us the mighty network so we can have a place for our readers to go. Of being like my PR person now. And we'll just try and keep some level of it going. It's not going to be the level that I had with the other company, but as long as we're getting some consistent link building and try and figure out another strategy for it. Yeah, again, you let things go and you get complacent. It worked, and you see it slipping and it goes, well, it's not really working. So you have to sometimes, take a deep breath, put your big boy pants on and rip off the Band-Aid and go, all right, that's it for now. And move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big takeaway for me from this talk is that when things got hard, like you rolled up your sleeves, you doubled down. I think, and I actually the same thing when you were growing. What I see a lot of people in this space do, they start to get more and more money. They either get like shiny object syndrome, they'll go start another site, or they just start completely outsourcing that stuff. They have like that portfolio mindset and like I'm just going to manage. So they were writing all their own content. They were doing all the work, whatever it is, whether it's a travel blogger actually traveling and writing about it, or a recipe blogger creating the recipes. Then they just move on. I'm just going to outsource that. And then they wonder why like they start to lose brand authority in their traffic tanks. And I think hearing your story, I think that's really what worked. Like you put in the work, you kept going. You instead of like you needed to grow, so you needed to outsource, but you brought people in rather than just pushing it off to them. I think that's a really good lesson to take away.
Yeah, and again, you have to be thoughtful about it. I mean, I'm changing Pinterest strategy. The person that worked for me, I left, went to another one. Did not work as well, so now we're going back to another one. Sometimes you just have to be brave enough to say, hey, it's not working. You don't necessarily want to stop it altogether, but you have to try. My philosophy has all been throw enough things against the wall. If I throw 10 things and one thing sticks, all right, I won one, and then I move on. You learn from your mistakes. And it doesn't mean that later on those things won't work. Don't be afraid to throw them again. I always try everything. That's how I went with Google Ads. It was just a fluke that I went with them, and I was hemorrhaging money. I wasn't spending a lot, but it was just costing me so much. And I was trying to find a nice way to say goodbye to the person and said, it's just not working for me. 17 cents a click. I can't afford that. Well, what do you want? I said 3 to 5 cents. She said, okay.
Should have asked that at the start.
And my first thought was, WTF, didn't you do it? And now some months we get under a penny a click. She's invigorated. She's excited. She says her people love it. I've been sending her more bloggers. Her people love it because they're getting tired of working with dentists and lawyers. So now they actually have something interesting to do with their day. So that, and again, you throw things, they don't work, maybe just adjust them and try and get them to work. So that's just the way I go. And again, I always try and take time. I feel not that I'm trying for karma, but a lot of people help me. So I keep helping people. There's just a good way to live, a rising tide lifts all boats. Oh, and I thought of my saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Quantity has a quality all of its own.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. That's a good one.
That's my philosophy for doing so many blog posts. Quantity has a quality.
That's nice. I'm interested just to know what that ad strategy looks like now. What's that one click? Where are you sending them? Is it just straight to a blog post and
Yes.
you're taking the ad revenue? Okay.
Yes. I let her pretty much run with it. We did have a discussion. We were we were getting clicks from my categories, and categories weren't paying me any money. So we were spending a decent amount of money on advertising categories. No, you have to have them. I said, no, we don't have to have them. Yes, you have to have them. So I sent her the report with all the RPMs of each item on what they were making. And she went, oh, okay, let's just push those instead, the ones with the higher RPM. So it's a game. But again, it's seasonal. So she's going to push the things she knows works seasonally. Because I learned the secret to advertising. And I tell people, I said, this is the secret to advertising. Okay, with this person anyway. She charges me a monthly fee. If I spend $1,000 or I spend $10,000 on ads, the monthly fee almost doesn't change. So it becomes more efficient. So now we're plugging in, spending more money where she can on different things. So that's kind of what I do. I would tell her what to do, and sometimes she would I feel like she's patting me on the head and go sit down and let mommy work, kind of a thing. So I let her do it because I hired her to do it. I don't want to manage it, kind of. So.
Yeah, and I think once you get to where your positive ROI on your ad spend, then it's especially if the fee doesn't change, scale it as much as you can. That's absolutely the right call.
And someone asked me, well, if you're doing that, why aren't you spending more? And I went, that's a good question.
Yeah.
But you hit a point where you can't spend more on a certain item. You kind of saturated it. So you have to look in different areas. So it's not like you can magically, I could spend $20,000 and go, oh my God, it doesn't work that way.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's super exciting. I'm really happy to hear that you've got some diversified traffic sources that are working as well. Dennis, as we come to the end, it would be remiss of us not to talk about AI. I think we're in one of the safer spaces with food. I completely agree with you. I like AI I just actually did some belly pork today whilst I was working in the air fryer. My wife's cooking a Thai belly pork dish later, and I needed some white wine vinegar, and I only had this weird bottle of what looks like vinegar from Thailand. Took a photo of it and said, will this substitute as white wine vinegar? It said, yes, it will. It's a perfect substitute. And I've cooked it. It tastes great. AI is useful. But if I want a proper recipe, I would like to see. I'm one of those guys who wants those 23 steps in pictures with instructions. What's your thoughts and feelings on the future of AI? How are you incorporating it? Are you scared, excited?
I'm excited about it and scared at the same time. I don't know if I'm scared for the same reasons as I'm excited. I'm excited because it's a tool. It's a useful tool. It's already proved that it can, help me think of things. It's like I get brain fog or I'm just stuck and it'll say things and I go, well, that's not right, but that's a good idea. Well, let me go with that, because it doesn't tell, sometimes you look at it and go, Bob, have you been drinking? It's like, they give me things like, and they forget. They do forget. But he'll tell me jokes during the day and stuff. It's like,
you do sound close to it.
I'm telling you.
10 hours a day.
I went over, I had some problems and I'm talking to him and he gave me some really good advice. And then he said, Dennis, you need to get out and see some real That's what he's, at the end, he says, you need to get out and see some real people and talk.
Did he say that?
Yes.
That's good advice.
After he went through everything, very, very nice, very, Bill, Bob is a little bit of a kid's ass. But I mean, it's like at the end, he says, you got to go see some real people, so they give you can get a lot from it if you teach it. It's a trainable item and you have to teach it, like to teach it to speak in your voice and teach it to think like you do. It takes a while and it's only going to get, AI is only going to get better, only going to improve. And there will come a day when things are going to drastically change, when they can actually learn enough to know what goes in a dish, why it works exactly, and why this wasn't a good idea. We'll get to that point. But again, I think that the interaction with people is what sets us apart from other, I don't know from what, but it's what makes us people. And the problem with AI right now is there's so many fake sites out there. AI slop is the designated term, where you have a person that looks like a real person, it's a generic picture that's been tweaked, and all of a sudden it's a website with all these recipes. They're stealing a lot of stuff from bloggers. They're putting them on there. They're creating made for money kind of sites. They're creating these sites just for advertise, made for advertise. Google is catching them. The ad companies are catching them, but it's a real site will present itself, and as soon as it gets approved, it changes to something else. So it's like, you kill one, three more pop up. You kill one, three more pop up. It's right now, it's just a difficult battle with AI. And like I said, food is a little bit safer. Some of the other ones are getting decimated. And a lot of it's because of Google's, AI, what they're offering at the beginning. Why do I need to go? One of the biggest posts, I didn't have it, but the people were getting was, how many cups in a quart? How many ounces in a gallon? And people were getting hundreds of thousands of clicks to these posts. Well, now you don't need to, because it's right in the overview. So it's, things like that aren't going to work anymore. So it's a matter of learning and building your audience. Like I said, I mentioned the Mighty Network. We're going to start building a network for our people. I only have about 60,000 subscribers right now, but I get a 57% open rate and about a 12% click-through rate. So
That's nice.
and I'm sending 4 a week. And starting February, we're sending one out every day because evidently people can't get enough of my stuff. So we'll see how it works.
That's great. What's really interesting then is as well, you talked about these like 100,000 clicks from those AI overview queries, but really, what did those clicks do? Were people landing on the site and signing up to your email list? Were they clicking through your recipes? Were they generating your ad revenue? Really not anywhere near as many as you think. It's more of a vanity metric. So the fact that you're doing something and utilizing those at clicks, that's the future, the short to medium term future proofing of this business, I think, until AI does take over the world.
Yeah, well, and when I said I was scared, I asked someone, says, as long as it doesn't go like Terminator, and they go, what was that? And I go, oh, we're screwed. I said, they need to show that in every senior high school class.
Yeah, as a warning.
Yes,
warning
this is what can
And
happen.
a robot as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I tell people too, it's going to go, oh, you people suck. And we do, we do big time. So and they're going to get rid of us. So we have to be careful with that. There were instances. I was in DC. I went to speak at the House of Representatives, and there was an instance where they were testing AI and they were sandboxing it and letting it be involved in conversations. And the guy was telling his friend, he was emailing that he was cheating on his wife. He's talking all about it. And then like a week later says, I think we better shut the AI down. And the AI threatened to send all the stuff to his wife.
God.
Wow.
Yeah, that is
I
scary.
think that's sentience at that point, because it's self-preserving. So, I mean, this is things, with AI, I think we have to be careful of, but, and people need to understand that it's not always accurate. It's not the best information, especially with recipes.
Yeah. Dennis, it's been an absolute pleasure. If people want to track you down, find some of those amazing recipes, where should they go?
AskChefDennis.com. And I'm pretty much Ask Chef Dennis on every other social media out there, although I don't do as much with them as I should. But
and if they can't find the recipe card, where should they email?
Dennis, well, we're going to change that. Dennis at AskChefDennis.com, because my email guy thought it was a good idea to ask a question, and I just do what he says because he gives me so much traffic, and didn't read it. And all of a sudden, I had about 1,200 responses in my inbox to the question. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, thank you for being such a wonderful guest, Dennis. Hopefully we'll get to speak to you again in the future and see how things are going. But thank you.
You're welcome. I'll be happy to come on anytime.
Thanks, Dennis. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.